All right. Okay, so continuing on with chapter 11, the last couple sections I have here for you is going to be, again, the third component, which is to file forms. Now, in this case, you can manually file your forms for your 940, your 941s, and your 943s, whatever federal or state filing forms that you need to do. You can do it manually. But in this case, if you paid for a higher payroll services, it could pull the information and create it for you automatically, and it's going to be a lot more quicker. So you have this third tab that says file forms, but in this case, because it says right here that you need to have to pay a higher payroll services for you to be able to use this, just go ahead and ignore that and click OK. So again, where do you get the forms from? Straightforward. Go to irs.gov and get your forms there, and then you can upload them in here if you'd like. Again, what this does is it helps you file your W-2 forms. It even helps you file for your 1099 forms, which in this case, in this chapter, we don't really talk about. There is a whole section in chapter 14 about 1099 workers and what you do when you need to file the 1090 forms, 98 forms for them. But in this case right here, that's all I can talk about because, again, this is more for professional tax accountants that are able to help you prepare for your taxes that you need to file for the 940, 941, 943s, okay? Those are for the purposes of your tax accountant. So in this case, we're not supposed to be tax accountants. All our job is to make sure that we pay our employees and we pay our liabilities, okay? Filing forms is not our area, okay? So last section that we have here too is going to be payroll reports, okay? So again, I can go to reports window here, and I'd be able to go to employees and payrolls, and this is where you can go ahead and run your reports on employee balances information, or even your so you got your payroll summaries here, okay, your payroll liability transactions. So again, if for example, I can take a look at looking at how much money I owe based on per month and every payment I've made. So in this case, I owe I had a total of 500, 500, 500, 500, 500, et cetera, et cetera. You can use this information for making sure that you make your payments on time, but making sure that this information is accurate because this is what you're going to be using to help you file your 940 and 941s. Okay? So other reports like that. But again, it just really depends on what your position is in terms of the company. Okay, if you need payroll item details, right here is the items that you offer to your employees, right? You got salaries, right? And Katie took that one. You got hourly, which is Mike. Okay, you have vacation pay, right? Whether it's hourly or salary, and then of course there's your Medicare, right? What payments do they have for each employee, which person involved in it, and so on and so forth. So again, Social Security, and so on and so forth. So all of the payroll items here is just the details of where the money went, where is it being collected, and so on and so forth. So again, whatever information that you need as a person who's in charge of employees is going to be these reports here. Okay. Now, last thing I'm going to do here is going to be, I'm going to show you the difference between using a payroll services versus actually calculating manual payroll. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to close this company file here because, again, this has a sample file of the payroll services. I can't use that in order to do the manual payroll, so I have to use the previous one that we just did, so payroll setup 21. Okay. Okay, here we go. My password is Questiva 21. Okay, so this is what we did. This is what we did on Thursday, right? We at least set up Katie. Okay. So let's go to the employee center real quick. So again, we have Katie as our only employee. Now notice this, right? There's only 2 tabs because in this case, we didn't pay for a payroll service. So in this case, that's why you don't have this section right here. So then how do I pay my employees? Well, in this case, I can click on pay my employees, but what's going to happen is it's going to give you a window that tells you that no, you can't do it. But in this case, okay, so I have my manual payroll active already. So what you need to do is usually what happens is that if for any reason you click on here and it tells you that you have to subscribe to a payroll services, right? You do have the option. If you click on turn on payroll services, it will give you those 3 options that you could choose. So again, you have the basic, right? You have the enhanced, and you have the assisted. Okay, so those are the just payroll options that you have there. Okay, so in this case, I can either chat now with somebody or I can buy into it. But in this case, I don't need it. I don't know why I can't exit this. Chat now. No, I want to. It's not letting me leave this page. There you go. No thanks. There you go. There you go. So I need to. There you go. Okay. So now that I close that out, I don't need a payroll services. So what I have to do is I'm going to go ahead and click edit, and I'm going to go to preferences, and I'm going to go to employees and payroll. Okay. So let's see, employees. Okay, so payroll and employees. You go to your company and you need to manually turn on right here. It says for using manual payroll. You need to go ahead and click on full services and check mark that you are using a manual payroll system and you are not using an online system, okay? So making sure that you do have this set up for you to be able to pay your employees. So then I'm going to go ahead and click OK. So I already have it set up. So in this case, what I can do here is now I can actually officially go to my pay employees window, and it's just going to take me directly here. It's not going to take me to no payroll center because in this case, I don't have a payroll service. So it's not going to acknowledge that I have a payroll center. So in this case, let's go ahead and cut Miss Katie her check. So in this case, we could say the payroll period on February 15, and I'm going to pay her on the 16th of February, okay? Just a scenario. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Katie. Now, here is the difference. I'm going to click OK. It said I had to set up something. Okay, hold on. You can only view a paycheck or of. Okay, sorry, I forgot to check her. There you go. So there you go. There you go. You're gonna get the same exact window, except now all the information I see here is blank. I have to manually calculate all this stuff. So in this case right here, we got Katie commissions. Okay, which is 10%, which she doesn't get. So in this case, she gets exactly $2,500, which is correct. Okay. No vacation pay, no nothing. Just that's just fine. So in this case, there you go. You could say she claimed 88 hours. It doesn't matter. She's salary. Okay. In this case, right, after we have salary, now the next one is going to be commissions, which she earned $0. The next one is going to be 401k deduction. In this case, we talked about this, and we have to set this up manually in our thing here. But in this case, because it's already set up in our payroll, right, we do have to actually manually enter it in here in each paycheck as well. So the rate here is going to be for the deduction is going to be -4%. So make sure you put that percentage, okay? And what does the employer match? We match 2%, okay? So by adding our numbers in here, what you're going to see is $50 is going to be added on our end, and for her deduction, it's going to take out $100. So see how we're manually calculating her gross wages to take out all the taxes? So here you go. That was the first one, was the 401k deduction, which is $100 that she has to take out, and then $100 to insurance, okay? Next one is going to be federal income tax withholdings. So federal income tax withholdings is going to be something that you have to manually calculate using your table. So in this case, this is what I already brought up. Since she was an employee that she's been there since 2008, she submitted to us a 2019 and prior W-4 form. So this is what we have to do. If you remember on Thursday, right, we said that she was married and she claimed 2 dependencies, or she claimed 2 allowances. So in this case, right, because she's on a semi-monthly, right, she gets paid on the 16th and every 1st of the month, or the end of the month, whatever it is that you do. That means every withholding is going to be $179 per withholding. Okay, so $179 per holding. Okay, so in this case, I have a pre-made table already. So in this case, who is the person we're going to pay them on February 16? Okay, name, Katie. Katie Reynolds. Okay, what was her pay rate? In this case, she gets salary, so it's $2,500 per paycheck. Okay, how many hours? Doesn't matter. So in this case, her gross is going to be, right, 2,500. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to carry that information down here. Now, as we remember, her filed status is that she's married. Okay, and that her total withholdings is 2. Now, we just found out what the total amount of withholdings was. It was $179 per withholding. So in this case, the adjusted amount is going to be, right, 179 times 2, which is her withholdings. So in this case, you don't really necessarily need this to know this, but it is just another extra lesson that I do teach in the accounting class, is how to process manual payroll. So in this case, this is how you use the federal income tax withholdings table to figure this out. So in this case, how it is if you actually take a look at this on the federal IRS.gov, it does walk you through it on what the steps you need to take. So in this case, you need to gather her information, you need to gather the number of withholdings, you need to gather, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and to be able to calculate her federal income tax withholdings. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and take a shortcut. So in this case, we have a total of $358 that we're going to withhold from her actual paycheck. So in this case, we're going to subtract that out. So that means The amount that she's subject to withhold is $2,142. Okay? So in this case, we need to check out how much she made over. Okay? So in this case, I think the adjusted amount is supposed to be here. It's supposed to be so in this case, right, that's the amount that she is subject to be taxed. So how does the tax table work? Now, in this case, I am using this one, which is to calculate manual payroll. So manual payroll using the percentage method for manual payroll services or systems with the form W-4 form from 2019 and prior. Okay, so in this case, this is the form I need to use. So how do we use this? Well, in this case, this table, right? We already got our number withholdings and we already adjusted our amount. So this is how we use the table. Since we're going to pay her twice a month, that means we need to be in the semi-monthly table. So in this case, we got weekly, we got bi-weekly, and now we are on semi-monthly. Okay, so that means she gets 2 paychecks per month. Now, in this case, you need to follow through. Which table does she belong to? Does she belong to the married table or does she belong to the single table? In this case, she filed as married. So if she made $2,142, right, we need to find which bracket she belongs to. So in this case, she makes over $1,398, but she does not make, she makes under $4,023. So in this case, this is her bracket right here. So that means she's going to get taxed by the government no matter how much money she makes. She's going to get taxed $85.60 automatically. She's going to be at the 12 percentage level, and she gets to keep $13.98. So $13.98. The government lets her keep $13.98. So once again, the amount over is going to be this minus $13.98. So therefore, she earns $744 over, plus the 12% because she belongs in the 12% bracket, and the amount to withhold is going to be the $85. Okay, so that means she has to do $85. So in this case, $85 and $85.60. So $85.60. So in this case, right, we need to take the amount in excess. So if the government lets her keep $13.98, this is how much extra money she's earned. She's earned $744 extra. So that means because she falls in the 12% bracket, that means we're going to take the amount of excess and we're going to multiply it by 12% to get a total of $89.28. Okay, so in this case, this is dollar. Okay, $89.28. And because she's getting taxed additional of $85.60, the amount to withhold is going to be the 12% plus what the amount that she's supposed to be taxed at. So in this case, she's going to be taxed at a total of $174.88, which is fairly close, right? With the automated services, it was $171. It's okay. In this case, the government will understand if you use automated services versus manual services. Okay, so in this case, she's going to get a total of $174 to withhold. So let me double check my numbers here. $85.60. Okay. All right. So that means Her total federal income tax withholdings is $174.88. So I need to type that in here under my federal income tax withholding. Okay, 174.88. And I gotta do negative because, again, that takes away from the paycheck. Social Security is going to be gross earnings, okay, of 2,500 multiply by 0.62%. That's the standard rate that you're going to be distributing to Social Security. This is a set number that you can find on irs.gov. It will tell you that that Social Security is 6.2%, Medicare is 1.45%. So in this case, that's what I'm going to calculate here. Is what is 6.2% of that, and it's 155, which we know from the manual, from the automated payroll that we did earlier. Okay, and then again, Medicare is going to be your gross earnings times 0.0145%. Okay, and that's going to give you a total of $36.25. Okay, now in this case, do we know what California is? In this case, I don't. So in this case, this is what she's going to be subject to, 1932. Now, that's just calculating the employee side. We also need to calculate the employer side. Okay, so in this case, we need to check our numbers too. In this case, we have match 401k, which we automatically had that because we agreed that the 401k is going to be, we put part of the pension as well. California unemployment, we don't know, but usually for state, they do recommend that it is 3% if you are a new type of business, and it's going to be 3% of gross earnings. So in this case, 3%. Okay. Social Security, right? Since we already calculated it over here, we're just going to transfer that information here. So it's it's $155. Okay, Medicare is $36.25. Okay, so none of these numbers are going to be negative because this is numbers that we have to pay. Okay, and then federal unemployment. Federal unemployment also depends on how many people you have in your company, how often you have to pay, and the size of your company. So are you a small business? Are you a corporation, right? In this case, I normally teach the class, just use an easy number, which is 6%, and it's going to be 6% of the gross earnings, so 0.6%, okay? And therefore, there you go, okay? So all those numbers are like that. So now we have calculated manually how to do this for Katie. Now think about it. If Katie, you have to look at all of information, you have to find which table, because in this case, right, what if Mike is single and he claimed 0 withholdings? Well, that's a little easier, but what if Mike, we pay him bi-weekly? Then we have to go through each person's case scenario. So in this case, if he's bi-weekly, he belongs to this table. But because he's single status, we have to use this table. So in this case, think about it. If every employee that works for your company has a separate W-4 form, right? Someone can claim that they're married but have no children. Someone can claim that they're head of household. Someone can say that they have 10 with extra withholdings, 10 allowances, right? The list goes on and on and on. And your employees is going to be a per case scenario. So think about it. Think about how much labor you have to do by going to their W-4 form, by creating a spreadsheet, by having to put in all the information in there manually, and having to calculate by per case scenario, right? What if Katie didn't work all 88 hours, right? But she's salaried, so it doesn't matter, so she's still going to get $2,500. But about Mike's situation, he can choose to work X amount of hours, right? If he called in sick that one day, then his money is less. So therefore, we have to calculate his percentage differently. So especially with paying employees, it's one of the most complicated jobs that you can do because of the amount of labor it takes to collect all the information, enter it in, and then having to process it is the reason why you're better off paying someone else to do it. Okay? You have a question?
No, sorry, it's just a computer.
Okay. So in this case, there you go. So in this case, we have gross earnings of $2,500, total taxes of $366, total deduction $200, and so on and so forth. So her check is going to be for $1,933. Okay. And there you go. Any questions in regards to using a payroll services versus using a manual payroll method?
No.
Okay. No questions?
No.
Yes.
So does that mean you do not recommend doing the manual?
You can if you want to. If your company's small, like again, this company only has 2 employees. Is it really difficult to have to manually calculate 2 employees? No. But if you go like any further, like 10 employees, maybe that could be labor intensive. It can cost you like a couple days to process it. But it's quite easy if you have Excel, right? You can create a spreadsheet that has all the information on there. So then all you got to do is, plug in the numbers. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But in this case, if you have more than 10 employees, I definitely recommend you're better off having paid payroll services to just do it. Now, are you obligated to use Intuit's payroll services? Absolutely not. If you want to outsource another person to do it for you, go ahead and do it. And then when you have that person process all that information for you, all you got to do is enter in all the stuff manually, right? You have all the pay stub information. All you got to do is just type it in, right? So you can do that and type it into there as if it's a manual payroll service, but you're not actually cutting the check, right? The checks are already done for you. So in this case, you just have to pay that third party vendor for doing the payroll services for you. So again, that's another easy way that you could do that as well. Okay. All right, so any other questions?
No.
All right, so let's go ahead and dive right into the payroll chapter 11 review question. So in this case, multiple choice. So your obligation is you're going to be selecting the best answer from the following. So number 1, okay, to properly affect the payroll items, okay, which function, okay, from the employees section, okay, of the home page should you use to pay the payroll taxes? This is straightforward.
D.
You use the pay liabilities, right? Again, employee section, there's only 3 things you can do. Enter time, pay employees, pay liabilities, and then last but not least, okay, if you have it, you can use to file forms. But in this case, very small section, very easy, very straightforward. Okay, so if you want to pay taxes, click pay liabilities. Okay. Number 2, okay, voucher style checks, okay, when used to processing payroll may contain what?
Is it A?
A is correct. Earnings and tax withholdings. Yes. So if you remember voucher style, I've mentioned this before. Voucher style allows you to see pay stub information. Okay. So in this case, you will be seeing the earnings and taxes. You will not be seeing what the company pays. Okay. federal filing status, no, you wouldn't necessarily see that on there. Again, that's going to be on your W-4 form. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, your pay stub information does tell you what filing status you are, whether you're married or single. But in number 2, it does say that for voucher style, you only normally see your earnings and your basically pay stub tax information and your year-to-date information as well. Okay. Number 3, the payroll liabilities balance report, okay, identifies what?
B?
B as in boy is correct. Liabilities and liabilities amount by payroll items. Good. Okay. All right. I think I just showed you that one earlier, right? Liability reports, or I know I did payroll by items. Okay. Number 4, which statement is true?
A.
A. Number 4. Yes, A is true. Okay, so let's take a look at the answers. A, you can print pay stubs at any given time. Yes. Yes, right? You're not obligated to only give it to the employee either before or after their paycheck. No, if an employee decides to come up to you and say, I need a copy of all my pay stubs for X amount of reason, or I need to keep track of it, right? You can provide it at any given time. They're always going to be in your QuickBooks. So as long as you don't ever delete your file, then you should always have the pay stub information available in QuickBooks. Okay? Even if you close the accounting period, you should have that information there. Okay? Pay stubs print 2 per page. No, it doesn't. Okay? And then if you find an error in the past paycheck, you should delete and erase the paycheck. No, in this case, no, you don't. You shouldn't. You should never delete anything. You just have to just make an adjustment. Okay? And then D says you cannot void a paycheck. Yes, you can. It's just not recommended. Okay. Number 5, to begin processing your payroll,
Is it D?
D.
D is correct, right? You're going to choose pay employees from the employees section of the homepage. Yes, that's to initiate the payroll, yes. Okay? You never write a check for your employees when you want to process payroll. Okay? And then it says select the employee menu and then check pay scheduled liabilities. You need to pay your employees first before you can pay the liabilities. Okay? And yeah. Okay. Number 6, okay, QuickBooks automatically calculates a paycheck using the information from all of the following except
D.
D is correct, the employee's expenses report. Yes. Okay. Number 7, okay, with a standard QuickBooks payroll subscription, okay, which forms cannot be printed directly from QuickBooks?
A.
D.
A is correct. Yes, you can print the 940 because it's a federal obligation. A W-3, yes, because that's also federal. Okay. State payroll tax forms are not going to be obligated there because it depends on what state you're using QuickBooks for. They're not going to have all 50 states in there. Okay? So in this case, the state forms are not going to be there. But anything federal, usually you can obtain it from QuickBooks. But again, why do that when you can go to irs.gov and be able to do it that way too? Okay? Number 8, to correctly pay your payroll liabilities, choose one of the following options.
B.
B, in this case, yes, B is correct. Use the pay schedule liability section of the payroll center. Yes. To properly pay your liabilities. Yes. Okay. Again, never use write-a checks. Number 9, the pay. Yes.
So that you have to click the tab, pay liabilities.
You can either do that or you can actually go to, yes. So if you're going to be in the payroll center, you need to click on pay liabilities tab.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, number 9, okay, the payroll summary report shows
D.
Yeah, D.
D is correct, right? It shows all the employees and their information in regards to earnings, hours, etc., taxes, and so on and so forth. Good. Number 10, okay, if
So
a
B or D?
D as in dog.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Number 10, the payroll liabilities window shows incorrect tax amounts due to problems that could be caused by
D.
D. Any of the above is correct, right? If you incorrect user entry, so again, if you accidentally made a typo in there, or you had an error in the payroll items rate, using the write-a checks window instead of the window to use to pay for taxes. Okay. User overriding calculated taxes. So if you remember, right, at the bottom of the paychecks window, you have that locked net pay and to unlock it. If you unlock it, you can override the calculated amounts. And again, it can cause potential, but again, that's the more correct way to fix a paycheck than to avoid it and have to recalculate it all over again. Okay. And then number 11, okay, to have data from the weekly timesheet affect an employee's paycheck, what do you need to do?
B.
Good. You're going to select the user's timesheet, okay, date to create the paycheck, okay, on the employee's record. So again, yes. So again, I did tell you this where if for any reason you want the timesheet to affect the paycheck, all you have to do is just use the timesheet and it will, or at least turn on the preferences that you're going to enter in time, and it will automatically transfer the information for you to process your payroll right away. Okay. So number 12, okay, what is shown in the company's summary section of the preview paycheck window?
C.
In this case, yes, letter C is correct, right? It shows the employment the employers paid taxes and contributions, right? So what this is talking about is this window right here. Not this one. This one. They're talking about this section right here. Okay, company summary, which is the company's means to pay for the taxes for having this employee, right? It's based on this particular employee's earnings, okay? And then it's going to be what deductions and contributions that they offer for this employee, okay? All right, number 13, okay? How do you pay a selected employee for vacation time?
B.
B is correct. You are going to use a salary vacations payroll item and then enter in the vacation hours in the hours column. Straightforward, right? I showed you an example today. Okay. And then last question of the day, question 14 says, every payday you should.
D.
D, verify that your tax tables are correct and update them if necessary. Okay. All right. Good job, everybody. So that was chapter 11. Tomorrow is going to be chapter 14.